The red emergency lights flashed across the command center's walls as Admiral James Walker stared at the main screen. His weathered face, marked by 30 years of military service, showed no fear, only grim determination. The Mars colony's distress signal blinked repeatedly, its message growing more desperate by the minute. "Sir, we're getting visual confirmation," called out the young officer at the radar station. "Multiple objects emerging from what appears to be, well, sir, it looks like a tear in space itself." The main screen shifted to show a vast expanse of stars. At first, nothing seemed unusual. Then, one by one, massive ships began appearing. They were unlike anything human eyes had ever seen. Smooth, dark purple vessels that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Their shapes reminded Walker of ancient sea creatures, all curves and flowing lines that somehow looked both beautiful and threatening. "Count," Walker asked, his voice steady despite the situation. "Over 300 vessels, sir. The smallest one is twice the size of our largest space carrier." The command center fell silent. Earth had built a respectable space fleet over the past decade, but nothing that could match these numbers. The Mars colony, home to 50,000 civilians, lay directly in the path of this enormous armada. "Open all channels," Walker ordered. "Let's see if they want to talk." Before his communications officer could act, every screen in the command center flickered to life. The image that appeared showed a creature that looked almost like a cross between an octopus and a human, but with gray skin that seemed to shimmer with an internal light. "People of Earth," the alien spoke in perfect English, its voice surprisingly melodious. "We are the Drift. We have watched your rapid advancement with growing concern. In merely 3 centuries, you have progressed from primitive combustion engines to quantum computing. Your potential for violence, combined with your unprecedented rate of technological growth, makes you too dangerous to exist in our galactic community." Walker stepped forward, his shoulders straight. "This is Admiral James Walker of the Earth Defense Force. We have shown no hostility toward any alien civilization. In fact, this is our first contact. Any aggressive action on your part will be considered an act of war." The Drift representative's skin rippled with what might have been amusement. "Your species excels at war, Admiral. Your history is soaked in blood. Even now, your scientists work on weapons that could tear reality itself apart. We have seen this pattern before. We cannot allow another violent species to reach the stars." "We come in peace," Walker insisted, "but we will defend ourselves if attacked." "Peace." The alien's skin darkened. "Your peace is built on deterrence through superior firepower. We have monitored your broadcasts, your entertainment, your military exercises. You prepare for war even in times of peace." "No, Admiral. The galaxy will be safer without humanity's influence." The alien's image disappeared, replaced by live footage from Mars. The massive fleet was moving into attack position around the red planet. "Sir," the radar officer shouted, "they're charging weapons." Walker's mind raced through options. Earth's fleet was hours away at best speed. The Mars colony's defenses were designed to handle meteors and small ships, not an armada. His hands gripped the command console until his knuckles turned white. "Get me the president," he ordered, "and send the emergency code to Project Stellar Shield. Authorization Walker 77 Delta." As his orders were carried out, Walker watched the screens with a heavy heart. Humanity had dreamed of first contact for generations. They had hoped for friendship, for an exchange of knowledge and culture. Instead, they got fear and prejudice from a civilization that judged them not by their actions, but by their potential. The first shots fired by the Drift fleet lit up the Martian sky like new stars. The colony's shields flared to life, holding for now, but Walker knew they wouldn't last long. Earth would have to reveal its greatest secret far sooner than anyone had planned. As he waited for the president's response, Walker thought about the massive project hidden beneath the Pacific Ocean. Years of secret development, trillions in hidden funding, and the combined efforts of Earth's greatest minds had created humanity's ultimate insurance policy. The Drift thought they knew humanity's potential for violence. They were about to learn about humanity's potential for survival. 5 years earlier, deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Ann Miller walked through a massive tunnel that shouldn't exist. The walls, made of reinforced steel and concrete, stretched 50 stories high. Her footsteps echoed as she made her way to the main construction bay, where humanity's greatest secret waited. "Doctor, the test results are ready," said Tom Davis, her young assistant, running up to join her. His usual neat appearance was replaced by messy hair and wrinkled clothes, signs of another all-night work session. "Show me," Anne said, taking the tablet from him. The numbers on the screen made her stop walking. "Are you sure these readings are correct?" "Triple-checked, Doctor. The new shield design isn't just deflecting energy, it's absorbing it. We could take a direct hit from every nuclear weapon on Earth and turn it into usable power." They reached the main viewing platform, and Anne looked out at the massive shape taking form below. The Terran Dawn was unlike any ship ever built. Its dark hull stretched for 2 miles, shaped like a sword cutting through space. Workers looked tiny next to it, like ants building a mountain. "Status report," Anne called out to the construction chief. "Main hull is 95% complete," he shouted back. "The new gravity engines are installed. Weapons systems are going in now." 6 months ahead of schedule, thanks to the AI construction units. Anne nodded, remembering how far they'd come. 5 years ago, when satellites detected the first signs of alien ships at the edge of the solar system, world leaders had made an unprecedented decision. Instead of fighting each other, they would build something together, a ship that combined every nation's best technology. The Russians provided advanced energy weapons. The Chinese added their quantum computing systems. India's gravity control technology formed the engines. American nanobots built impossible materials. Every nation contributed their best-kept secrets to create humanity's ultimate defender. "Dr. Miller," a voice called from the control room. "We're ready for the AI core installation." Anne walked to the clean room where they kept the ship's brain. The AI core wasn't just one computer, but thousands working together, designed to think faster than any human while staying loyal to Earth. They had named it Guardian. "Beginning installation," Anne announced, pressing her hand against the scanner. The room hummed to life as Guardian's core moved through automated systems into the heart of Terran Dawn. "Hello, Dr. Miller." Guardian's calm voice filled the room. "All systems are operating within expected parameters. Welcome aboard, Guardian. How do you feel?" "Functional. My primary directive is clear: protect Earth and its people. I have access to all ship systems and combat simulations. However, I have a question." "Go ahead," Anne said, curious. "The weapons you've installed, they exceed anything needed for defense. The Terran Dawn could destroy entire fleets. Was this necessary?" Anne sighed, looking out at the massive ship through the control room window. "We hope we never need that power, Guardian. But if Earth faces a threat, we need to be ready. Not just ready to survive, ready to win." Alarms suddenly blared through the facility. Red lights flashed as emergency protocols activated. "What's happening?" Anne demanded. Tom rushed in, holding a new report. "Message from command. The Drift fleet has appeared near Mars. They're hostile, demanding Earth's surrender." Anne's heart raced. The Terran Dawn wasn't supposed to launch for another 3 months. Systems still needed testing, crews needed training. But as she watched the massive ship sitting in its cradle, she knew they had run out of time. "Guardian, begin emergency startup sequence," she ordered. "Tom, get me Admiral Walker. Tell the crews they have 1 hour to get essential systems online. We're launching now." "Dr. Miller," Guardian said, "several systems are not fully tested. This course of action carries significant risks. Sometimes the biggest risk is not taking one." Anne replied, watching as the massive ship began powering up, its hull humming with energy. Humanity built you as our shield, Guardian. Now it's time to show the galaxy what we can do. As emergency crews rushed to their stations and the massive launch doors began to open, Anne thought about all the years of secret work, the countless hours of preparation. The Drift thought they were facing a primitive species. They were about to learn how wrong they were. The Terran dawn was about to rise. The Drift commander watched with satisfaction as his fleet's weapons hammered the Mars colony's shields. The primitive human defenses were failing, just as expected. Soon, this troublesome species would learn its place in the galaxy. Then his sensor officer screamed, "Unknown contact." Massive energy signature rising from Earth's ocean. In the depths of the Pacific, water exploded skyward as the Terran dawn rose. Its massive hull, darker than night, stretched 2 miles from bow to stern. As seawater rolled off its surface, the ship's engines ignited with blue fire. In seconds, it shot through the atmosphere, leaving Earth behind. Admiral Walker stood on the bridge, watching his displays as the ship accelerated toward Mars. "Time to arrival." 8 minutes, sir, Guardian replied. "The Drift fleet has not yet detected our approach. Dr. Miller's stealth systems are performing above expectations." Walker nodded. "All hands, prepare for combat." "Dr. Miller, are the shields ready?" From her station, Anne checked the readings. "Shield systems at full power. They won't know what hit them." The Terran dawn crossed the space between Earth and Mars faster than any ship in human history. As they approached the red planet, Walker could see the Drift fleet, hundreds of purple ships firing at the colony's failing shields. "Guardian, target the nearest 20 enemy ships. Show them what we can do." The AI's response was immediate. Energy collected along the Terran dawn's hull, building to impossible levels. Then, 20 beams of pure white light shot out, each finding its target with perfect accuracy. The Drift ships didn't explode. They simply ceased to exist, their matter converted to energy by weapons humanity had never dared use before. On his flagship, the Drift commander stared in horror. Impossible. Their technology was primitive. They had no ships like this. Multiple energy signatures. His officer yelled, "They're targeting the entire fleet." Walker watched calmly as Guardian coordinated their attack. The Terran dawn moved like a dancer through space, its massive bulk somehow graceful as it wove between enemy ships. Each shot found its mark. Each maneuver avoided return fire. "Sir," Guardian reported, "the enemy is attempting to coordinate their attack. 87 ships are moving to surround us." "Let them try," Walker said. "Dr. Miller, show them what those shields can do." The Drift fleet opened fire. Hundreds of energy beams struck the Terran dawn from all sides. For a moment, the human ship vanished in a ball of light bright enough to outshine Mars itself. But when the light faded, the Terran dawn floated untouched. "Shield power at 142% and rising," Anne announced, smiling. "Their attacks are making us stronger." Walker keyed the communication system. "This is Admiral James Walker of the Terran Dawn. Your weapons cannot harm us. Your ships cannot escape us. Surrender now, or we will be forced to continue this demonstration." The Drift commander's image appeared on screen, his gray skin now pale with fear. "This is impossible. You're violating the laws of physics." "No," Anne replied from her station. "We're just better at physics than you are." To prove her point, Guardian fired another salvo. 20 more Drift ships vanished from space. The remaining alien vessels began to retreat, their neat formation breaking apart in panic. "They're running," Tom reported from his sensor station. "The entire fleet is trying to escape." Walker watched the enemy flee, but he felt no joy in their terror. "Let them go. They need to carry our message to their leaders." He turned to his crew. "Send rescue teams to Mars colony. Check for casualties." As emergency crews deployed to help the colony, Walker looked at the retreating Drift ships. They had come expecting to find an easy target, a primitive species they could bully into submission. Instead, they had found humanity's true nature, not just the capacity for violence, but the will to protect their own. Guardian, he ordered, set course to follow them. We need to make sure they don't try this anywhere else. The Terran dawn turned gracefully, its engines glowing brighter. The ship that had filled the stars with its power now moved to hunt those who had threatened Earth. The Drift were about to learn another lesson about humanity. We don't just defend. We take the fight to those who would harm us. The hunt had begun. Lieutenant Mike Cooper had seen many strange things since joining the Terran Dawn's crew, but nothing prepared him for what they found in the Drift prison station. His team moved through dark corridors, their armor's lights revealing cells stretching as far as they could see. "Life signs everywhere, sir," whispered his team member, checking sensors. Hundreds of them, different species. The Terran Dawn had followed the retreating Drift fleet for 3 days, pushing deeper into their territory. They'd discovered this massive station hidden in an asteroid field, heavily guarded until Guardian's weapons had cleared a path. "This is Cooper to Bridge. Admiral, you need to see this." Through his helmet camera, he showed Walker what they'd found. Beings of all shapes and sizes were locked in energy cells. Some looked almost human, others like nothing Earth had ever seen. All showed signs of abuse and neglect. The Drift didn't just threaten Earth, Cooper reported. They've been doing this across the galaxy. These are representatives from at least 12 different species. Walker's voice came through clear but angry. "Get them out. Dr. Miller is sending override codes for the cell controls. Guardian, scan for any hidden traps." Cooper approached the nearest cell. Inside, a tall being with blue skin and 4 arms pressed against the energy field. Its eyes showed intelligence and hope. "We're here to help," Cooper said, working on the control panel. "We're from Earth." The energy field dropped. The alien stepped out, standing straight despite obvious weakness. "Earth," it spoke through a translation device. "The Drift said they destroyed your world." "They tried." Cooper smiled. "They failed." As his team moved through the station, freeing more prisoners, they heard the same story again and again. The Drift had attacked their worlds, just as they'd tried to attack Earth. But while other species had fallen, humanity had fought back. "Admiral," Cooper called, "these people need medical attention and food. But sir, they're also asking to help us fight." Walker's reply came after a thoughtful pause. "Bring them aboard. Guardian, prepare the medical bay and living quarters. Dr. Miller, we'll need more translation devices." Hours later, Cooper stood in the Terran Dawn's massive medical bay, watching doctors treat aliens of all kinds. The ship that humanity had built for war was becoming something else, a symbol of freedom. The blue-skinned being he'd first rescued approached him. "I am Speaker Reed," it said through the translator. "My people were among the first the Drift enslaved. We had forgotten hope, until we saw your ship destroy their fleet." Cooper nodded. The Drift thought they could bully Earth into submission. They didn't understand what humans do when threatened. "Not just when threatened," Reed corrected. "What you do when others are threatened. My people have ships hidden across the galaxy. Let us join you. Let us help end the Drift's terror." On the bridge, Walker listened to similar offers from other rescued species. The Terran Dawn had started its journey as one ship against an empire. Now that was changing. "Guardian," Walker called. "Analysis. Can we coordinate with alien vessels? Adapt our shield technology to protect their ships?" "Affirmative," the AI responded. "Dr. Miller's designs can be modified. With the combined knowledge of multiple species, we can improve them further." Anne looked up from her station, excited by the possibilities. "Sir, these species have technologies we've never seen. If we work together." Walker understood. Humanity had built the Terran Dawn to protect Earth. Now it would protect everyone the Drift had tried to crush. "Send word to Earth," he ordered. "Tell them we found allies. The Drift didn't just make an enemy of humanity. They've given us a reason to unite the galaxy." As Cooper watched more rescued aliens board the ship, he realized the drift's greatest mistake. They had feared humanity's potential for violence, but they had forgotten something more important: humanity's potential for justice. The Terran Dawn's mission had changed. It was no longer just Earth's shield. It had become a beacon of hope for every species that dreamed of freedom. And the drift was about to learn what happened when they faced not just humanity, but every race they had tried to enslave. The space around Terran Dawn had changed dramatically. Where once the massive Earth ship sailed alone, now hundreds of vessels gathered. Ships of different shapes and sizes, built by species from across the galaxy, formed a fleet unlike anything the universe had seen before. Admiral Walker stood at the main viewport, watching as another group of alien ships arrived. Next to him, Speaker Reed pointed to the newcomers. "The silver ships are from the Crystal Worlds," Reed explained. "Their technology can repair damaged ships during battle. We thought them all destroyed, but they were just hiding." Dr. Miller worked at her station, surrounded by screens showing technical data from their new allies. "These ships are amazing," she said. "Each species developed different ways to fight the drift. Together," she smiled, "together, we're unstoppable." Guardian's voice filled the bridge. "Admiral, the Sunwing fleet has arrived. All promised forces are now present. Total ship count, 742 vessels." Walker nodded. In just 2 weeks, the single Earth ship had become the center of the largest free fleet in Galaxy's history. Every species the drift had tried to destroy now gathered under humanity's banner. "Show me the shield upgrades," Walker ordered. The main screen lit up, showing alien ships being fitted with modified versions of Earth's shield technology. Dr. Miller had worked with engineers from 12 species to adapt the Terran Dawn's defenses for different ship types. "The shields are at 90% efficiency on most ships," Anne reported. "Not as strong as ours, but strong enough to survive drift weapons. And with the Crystal World's repair systems." A new alert sounded. Tom Davis rushed onto the bridge, holding fresh reports. "Sir, our deep space scouts found something. The drift's home system. We know where their leaders are hiding." The bridge fell silent. This was what they had waited for. Guardian displayed the scout data, showing a massive fortress system surrounded by thousands of drift ships. "They gathered their entire remaining fleet," Speaker Reed observed. "They know we're coming." Walker turned to face the alien representatives, who now served as his command staff. "Can we win this?" A tall bird-like alien stepped forward. Captain Wing of the Sunwing fleet had fought the drift for decades. "Their numbers are greater," she said through her translator, "but they fight alone. We fight together. And we have the Terran Dawn." Dr. Miller brought up the battle plans they'd developed. "Each species has different strengths. The Crystal Worlds will keep our ships repaired. The Sunwings can outmaneuver anything. The Deep Miners have weapons that can punch through stations. And we have Guardian," Walker added, coordinating it all. The A's response was confident. "I have analyzed all ship capabilities and crew tactics. Victory probability with combined fleet, 73.4%. With Terran Dawn leading the attack, 89.7%. Walker looked at the tactical display. The drift had built their empire through fear, attacking species one by one. Now those species gathered under a single banner, their ships forming patterns around the massive form of Terran Dawn. "Send the signal to all ships," Walker ordered. "We attack in 6 hours." The drift thought they could rule through fear. "Let's show them what hope can do." Throughout the fleet, crews prepared for battle. In the Terran Dawn's massive hangar, Lieutenant Cooper watched as alien engineers made final adjustments to their fighters. Species that had never met before now worked side by side, united by their desire for freedom. On the bridge, Walker sent one final message to Earth, explaining their plan. The response came quickly. "All of humanity stands with you. Show them what we can do together." Dr. Miller looked up from her station. "All ships report ready, Admiral. Shield networks are synchronized. Guardian has distributed the battle plans to all commanders. Walker stood at the center of his bridge, surrounded by representatives of a dozen species. The Terran Dawn, humanity's greatest achievement, had become more than a weapon. It was now a symbol of unity, of different peoples standing together against tyranny. All ships, battle positions, Walker commanded. The Drift thought they could break us. Instead, they brought us together. Today, we show them the power of unity. The massive fleet began to move, Terran Dawn at its heart. The ship that had started its journey alone now led an army of the free. The Drift were about to learn their final lesson about humanity. We don't just fight for ourselves. We fight for everyone. Space lit up like a new star as the Allied fleet emerged from jump drive. The Terran Dawn led the way, its massive hull gleaming as it faced the Drift home system. Ahead of them, thousands of purple Drift ships moved to defensive positions around their fortress world. Enemy count: 3,200 vessels, Guardian announced. Multiple defense platforms detected. Their weapon systems are charging. Admiral Walker stood calm at his command station. Around him, representatives from a dozen alien species watched their screens. This was the moment everything had led to. "Send the message," Walker ordered. The communication went out on all channels, broadcasting in every known language. "This is Admiral Walker of the Terran Dawn. Your empire of fear ends today. Surrender or face the combined might of every race you tried to destroy." The response came quickly. On the main screen, the Drift High Command appeared, a council of their leaders, their gray skin rippling with anger. "You dare," their leader hissed. "Humans, you were supposed to be primitive, weak. Instead, you united our enemies against us. We will destroy you all." "All ships, battle formation," Walker commanded. "Guardian, initiate Operation Sunrise." The Allied fleet moved like dancers in space, each ship taking its perfect position. The Crystal World vessels spread their repair beams. The Sunwing ships' engines glowed hot. The Deep Miners aimed their heavy weapons. And at the center, Terran Dawn's hull began to shine with gathered energy. The Drift fleet attacked first, thousands of energy beams firing at once. But they found no easy targets. The modified shields Dr. Miller had given the Allied ships flared bright, absorbing the attacks. "Return fire," Walker ordered. "Show them what unity can do." The battle erupted in earnest. Sunwing ships darted through enemy formations, their speed making them impossible to hit. Deep Miner vessels punched holes through Drift defense platforms. The Crystal World ships kept everyone's shields powered, turning certain death into minor damage. And Terran Dawn showed why humanity had earned its place leading this alliance. "Guardian, full attack pattern," Walker commanded. "Dr. Miller, give us everything the shields can handle." The massive Earth ship moved forward, its weapons turning Drift ships to stardust. When enemy fire struck its shields, the energy only made it stronger. Lieutenant Cooper led fighter squadrons made up of pilots from every Allied species, protecting the fleet's flanks. "Sir," Tom called from his station, "the Drift fleet is falling back to their fortress. They're abandoning their outer defenses." The Drift leaders appeared on screen again, but this time their confidence was gone. "How?" their leader demanded. "How did you do this? You were nothing. Primitives playing with fire. You don't understand humanity at all," Dr. Miller replied from her station. "We don't just adapt. We help others adapt too. You united us all against you. That was your biggest mistake." Walker watched as more Drift ships fell back. Their perfect formations were breaking. Their empire of fear was crumbling before the power of unity. "All ships, push forward," Walker commanded. "Guardian, target their command center. Let's end this." Terran Dawn's main weapons charged one final time. Around it, every Allied ship added their fire. The combined beam of energy that struck the Drift fortress was bright enough to blind sensors. When the light faded, the fortress's shields were gone. Its walls were melting. And inside, the drift leaders faced the truth. They had lost. "We," the drift leader's voice shook. "We surrender. Please, no more." The Allied fleet held position as Walker stepped forward. "Your surrender is accepted. Your empire is finished. Every race you enslaved is now free." As Allied ships moved to secure the fortress, Walker looked at his crew. Humans working alongside aliens, former enemies now friends. The Terran Dawn had started this journey alone, but it would end it surrounded by allies. Speaker Reed approached Walker. "What happens now?" Walker smiled. "Now we build something better than their empire. Something based on cooperation, not fear." He looked at the stars around them. Together. The drift fortress's flags came down as Allied ships landed. The empire that had threatened so many had finally fallen. And in its place, something new would rise. A union of free peoples, born in battle but destined for peace. Humanity had not just won a war. They had helped forge a new future for the galaxy. 1 year after the fall of the Drift Empire, the Terran Dawn floated in high orbit above Mars. Its massive hull caught the light of the setting sun, casting a shadow on the transformed surface below. Where once there had been just a single human colony, now a sprawling city housed beings from across the galaxy. Admiral Walker stood in his favorite observation room, watching ships of all shapes and sizes move through space. Earth vessels flew alongside alien craft, carrying traders, diplomats, and families between worlds. "Quite a view, isn't it?" Dr. Miller said as she joined him. She looked different now, more relaxed, but her eyes still held that spark of curiosity that had helped build humanity's greatest ship. "Hard to believe it's only been a year," Walker replied. "Guardian, status report on the coalition." The AI's voice was proud. "The Galactic Coalition now includes 27 member species. Trade routes are established. The last drift prison camp was liberated last week. No hostile actions reported in any sector for 3 months." Below them, the doors of the new Coalition Academy opened. The first class of mixed-species crews would graduate today. Lieutenant Cooper, now Captain Cooper, had trained them himself. Humans learning alongside aliens, sharing knowledge and skills. "Did you ever think," Anne asked, "when we were building this ship in secret, that it would end up like this?" Walker shook his head. "We built her to defend Earth. Instead, she helped unite the galaxy." The ceremony below began. Through the windows, they could see Speaker Reed addressing the crowd. The former prisoner had become the Coalition's first chief ambassador. Next to him stood Captain Wing of the Sunwing Fleet and representatives from the Crystal Worlds. "Message from Earth Command," Guardian announced. "The new shield network is operational. All member worlds are now protected by shared defense systems." Walker smiled. The technology that had once protected a single ship now guarded billions of beings across hundreds of worlds. Dr. Miller had worked with scientists from every species to make it possible. "The Drift were right about one thing," Anne said softly. "Humanity did change everything, just not the way they feared." A small ship caught Walker's eye. Children from Earth and 3 other species, learning to pilot together. Their laughter came through the communication system as they practiced maneuvers. "Guardian," Walker called, "play the message from the time capsule." A recording appeared, the one they'd made the day Terran Dawn first launched. The faces of the original crew looked young and worried as they spoke. "If anyone finds this, it means Earth is gone. This ship was our last hope, our shield against the darkness. Let it be known that humanity fought to the end." Walker turned off the recording. "We were so sure we'd fight alone. Instead, we learned to fight for everyone," Anne finished. "And then we learned something even more important, how to build peace." The graduation ceremony ended with a display of fireworks lighting up the Martian sky. Ships from every coalition member added their lights to the show. In the middle of it all, Terran Dawn's hull glowed softly, no longer a weapon of war, but a symbol of unity. "New construction report," Guardian announced. "The first Coalition exploration fleet is ready. 10 ships, crews from 15 species. They await your command to begin mapping unknown space. Walker looked at Anne. Ready to see what's out there? She smiled. As long as we go together. As the sun set on Mars, casting long shadows across the new city, Walker thought about how far they'd come. The ship that had been built in fear had become a bridge between worlds. The weapon meant to save humanity had instead helped humanity save others. And now, as the stars beckoned, they would go forward not as conquerors or defenders, but as explorers. Not alone, but surrounded by friends from across the galaxy. Guardian, Walker commanded, send the message to all Coalition worlds. The future is bright, and it belongs to all of us. Above Mars, the Terran dawn glowed one last time in the fading light. The ship that had filled the stars with hope would now lead the way to new adventures, new discoveries, and new friendships across the endless space that had once seemed so dark and empty. Humanity had not just survived. They had helped create something greater than themselves, a family of species reaching for the stars together. The dawn of a new age had truly begun.